Hello neighbors, Akibataku here. Now recently I've been sorting out my files on my computer and I found this audio file named Nostalgia. I don't exactly recall having this kind of file, so let's check it out what it is. Huh, neat.
Ayakashi Ghost Build was an RPG card game from Zynga released in 2013. When I first got my Samsung Galaxy phone, my duty was to download a shit ton of games because I did not have a gaming console. What you're looking at right now is one of the first screenshots I had with that phone. The way I found this game was that I was browsing through the Play Store and found it right there. And because I was a horny bastard back then, I clicked on it, and when I first turned it on,
So this is what nostalgia feels like.
of course, back then, my English was non-existent, so whenever I tried to play it, I just repeated what the tutorial taught me to do. But of course, the one thing they kept me playing was what else?
Boobies.
The ones I found weirdly attractive to is Lithius and Barbetta. I suppose this is where my fetish for redhead succubuses come from. But the strange one is Barbetta. For Lithius, it makes sense as the whole deal with succubuses is that they attract virgins. But with Barbetta, she's just a literal gun, or more specifically a bunch of artillery guns. But another thing that made me remember the game so much was the soundtrack. I loved the soundtrack. Hell, the main theme of the game itself sounds very majestic and nostalgic at the same time. If Ayakashi Ghost Build has a CD album, I would buy that. So what's the game about? Well, you are a role of a ghost agent and you must find and fight supernatural entities and stuff that will happen in Japan. The way you do so is to use ghosts to fight other ghosts, nothing too fancy. So overall, it's a great time. The characters are really nice, the soundtrack sounds beautiful, and overall, people like the game. Sadly, however, Zynga, the developers, shut down all servers for Ayakashi Ghost Build on April 30th, 2015. There were rumors of a remake, but nothing materialized. The developer team of Ayakashi did make their own game studio named Mirai Miracle and made a successor named Otogi Spirit Agents, but that too did not last. You see this? This was my last screenshot of the game.
How poetic.
So what happened? Well, we can't know for sure as the details are all over the place and drawing a proper conclusion would be impossible, but here's what I can tell from my research. Zynga back then was desperately capitalizing on the Facebook and mobile gaming trend back then. They pump out so much games to the point of overextension. They became so big, not even Zynga themselves can handle it. Zynga first shut down their Japanese branch in 2012, which is literally just a few months after Ayakashi came out. Then in June 3rd, 2013, they laid down 520 employees and shut down its branches in New York, Los Angeles, and Dallas. Then in the next year, they laid off 314 workers, then they had to lay down on the Florida, then they had to shut down Orlando, and then in 2015, they shut down their branches in China. And when they finally pulled the plug on China, it was the plug they also pulled along with Ayakashi. During my research, I found a dead Facebook page related to Ayakashi, and I also found a fan Facebook page. In the very beginnings of the fan page, people are literally panicking as there were rumors about the death of Ayakashi. As I read along, it's actually pretty sad to see them in such a desperate state. They are treating this as if it's the end of the world, and to be honest, I can somewhat relate to it. Every time I hear the main theme of Ayakashi, I can't help but feel like I was hearing the remains of a lost tribe. And I was lucky enough to witness them before their inevitable demise. I mean, for Christ's sake, this was my last screenshot on my own phone, and this was the last post of the fan group. And I was lucky enough to see the final moments before it ends. This was the tragedy of online-based gaming. I remember how excited my friends were when we were getting a Madoka Magica mobile game because it felt like forever since the original anime came out. We were excited to see more Madoka, but then we were devastated to find out that little over a year later, Aniplex pulled the plug. Another case was Sonic Runners. It was a great Sonic game with a strong fanbase, but then Sega pulled the plug.
Let this be a lesson for you and I, never play any online-based mobile games. Because unlike other games where you can just play it whenever you want, with online games, when the server is down, it's the end of the world. All the hard work, all the pain, all the suffering, all the blood, sweat and tears will all be flushed away with the flick of a switch. And oh Hiroshi, please do keep this as a notice for a lesson. Never play an online game just because it has anime titties in it, because the moment the server shuts down, you will be filled with nothing but agony and pain. So next time, stay away from online mobile games and you'll never have to feel pain again. Oh, when will I ever learn?